Hi, I'm Kathy and I'm the Makeup Advisor to the Ballarat Centre of the Music and the Arts. I'm here to show you how to apply the makeup that you get in your makeup kit that you purchase from the school. Now in the kit, this contains what you need to be able to do your child's makeup or for them to do their own makeup for competitions, shows and the end of year production. Your makeup kit looks rather like this. So it contains things like your foundation, your powder, a sponge, blusher and eyeshadows, application brushes, mascara, lipstick and eyeliner. It also has a name tag for you to pop your child's name on so that because of course all the kits look the same, so you pop your child's name on so they don't get lost. It also has what we call a pli, which is a little chart. It's a picture of how the makeup should look. There's a boys one and a girls version, and on the back has the instructions of how to apply. So that's going to help you as well. Now inside here, there are boys kits and girls kits. They're very similar, it's just that the boys ones have a brown eyeliner and the girls ones have a black eyeliner and they have a lipstick. So if you've got a boy and a girl at BCMA, we don't expect you to buy two kits. All you need to do is buy a girl's kit and purchase the brown eyeliner to go with it. We try and make it as economical as possible. We actually package up the base and the powder so that you're not having to pay for full-size versions, and this way we keep the cost down for families. Now you may have, there's two different palettes happening in the kits at the moment, just depending on whether the company's just discontinued the one that we were using, so we're just changing. So your kit might have one if you purchased it last year, or it might be having the new one if you're purchasing this year. So this one has a lighter eyeshadow and a darker one and a blush color, or you may have this one which has the lighter color, the darker color, and we'll have a separate blush. But they both work just the same. I use a mixture of stage makeup and an Australian brand that's fairly low allergenic. We haven't had problems at this stage with the makeup kits. We also do have just a standard base color, Caucasian base color, but if your child has a deeper skin tone, we do have other options in foundations. Quite a few different color options, so you can just swap the foundation over for one that suits better. Unfortunately, for those who are very pale skinned, and I'll talk about this while we're actually applying the makeup to our lovely model Gina. So I have already put some moisturizer on her skin, which helps the makeup go on easier, and I'm just using the latex sponge, just picking up a bit of color. Now the amount of foundation in the little pot that you get is still enough to do usually a couple of years worth of shows. You only use a small amount, and it's just a matter of it doesn't have to be put on thickly, it's just a matter of getting a fairly even coverage across the skin. Now, as I was saying, with some of our students that are very pale skinned, the foundation color can look a little bit dark on them, but it needs to, because otherwise if we actually made them up with the color that their skin is, on stage they would look quite unhealthy. So we actually have to give them a little bit of color with their foundation. So don't be alarmed if it's not a perfect match to their skin tone. I'm not creating too many shadows as we go. Okay, let's do the other side. So you can see I'm just sort of dabbing a bit on and then just spreading it out with the sponge. Don't forget to go under the eyes. It should all be done fairly gently. We don't want to traumatize either the child's skin or the child themselves. And when you get to the jawline, just blend it off at the jawline, unless you find that, as in the case with Gina, the skin on the neck is very pale, in which case you would actually get some of the foundation and just blend it down the neck a little bit until it all, so you start off with application here, blend it out, so as you're working down the neck, it's fading out to almost nothing until it actually evens out the skin transition. Skin transition, that sounded weird, didn't it? The transition of color. Right, so you see you don't have to cake it on. That way the foundation does last you quite a long time. Now we powder over the top. We need to set the makeup before we do the next stage. And you may have a brush, either one of these brushes works fine. And we're just going to ask Gina to close her eyes and just dust the powder over the whole face. if you're really nice, you can ask them to hold their breath when you first start so you don't get them breathing in a whole lot of the powder as well. Gina's pretty used to the whole routine. And again, if you have put the makeup down the neck, just dust the powder down the neck as well. So we should end up with full coverage of even colour, and it should be nice and matte from the powder. Okay, I'm now going to put the blush on, which is done with the same brush. Now, the secret to blush is to actually apply it, let me put this down so I can point to your cheek, is to actually apply it to the underneath side of the cheekbone first and back close to the ear. And what we end up doing is creating almost like a triangle of blush. So we pop it in here first. So that way we're actually putting the deepest colour where we want to create a little bit of contour. Then with our brush we can just smoosh it up a bit, smoosh it down and bring it a little bit further into the face. But the main colour is back here. By the time you're getting it up to here or up to here, you've almost run out of colour on your brush. So you get a lovely soft application of colour, but it's still got quite a richness back at that point. Now it's the same for boys and girls. Boys would just have, we'll do one side a little bit more boys-ish. So boys would just have a little bit less. Okay. Now eyeshadow application. I usually start off with the lightest colour first. So on this one, this will be this colour. And we pop it on the eyelid and just under the eyebrow. So I pop the colour on where I want it, and then just with the applicator, just soften it out a little bit. So the idea of what we're trying to achieve for this stage makeup is to make their eyes look three-dimensional, because when they're on a stage and a lot with theatre lights and they're a long way from the audience, what you do is you lose colour and you also lose, the face becomes very two-dimensional. So what we're doing by creating a bit of a contour there, and we're going to create highlights and contours on the eyes, it actually brings the face back to looking more three-dimensional again. And we'll do the same on the other side. So on the eyelid, under the eyebrow. So this is our boys' side. So with our boys' makeup, we make sure we finish the makeup around about where the eyelashes finish. And with boys' makeup, we actually want it to be quite subtle. We don't really want them to look like they're wearing makeup, whereas girls, we can actually do it quite a bit stronger. Okay, I'm just going to let Tori get a close-up there of how that's been put in. And turn our fire down a bit so it stops making so much noise. Okay, now the contour one is where a lot of people get a little bit stuck. So this is our deeper colour. The application of this is in the hollow part of the eyes. So you follow that contour line of the eye, just like that. Now boys will be the same, but softer. And then you can just use that, you don't have to blend the colours in together, you just need to soften them out a little bit. So I can just use the other side of the eyeshadow pad to do that. Now with the girls one, we can actually take it out at the side a little bit. And even just down onto the eyelid slightly. And again, I'm just going to turn the makeup applicator over and just soften that out a bit. If it starts going too far, you can just get a cotton bud or a clean side of your makeup sponge and just buff it back a little bit. So don't be scared, it's quite easy to buff it back. Just to open your eye for a minute, Jen, so you can see that coming out. So the idea with the girls is we're trying to make the eyes look bigger, and we can do that and have the makeup looking stronger. But with the boys, we keep it a lot more subtle. Okay, the other thing that I find works really well with the eyes is a little bit of blusher on them. Now this gives warmth to the face and helps make them look healthier. So this colour goes between the brown and the, I'll say white, even cream. And so it's just put in here. Again, we don't need to do a lot of blending between our colours. We just need to soften our edges a bit. And this will make her look lovely and healthy. Same colour goes on with the boys, but it's just done, again, a little bit more subtly. Let's just turn our applicator over. Just blend it out a bit. Okay, Jenny, you can open your eyes up again. I'm just thinking we could have a little bit more on the boy's side. Gina's going to feel wonderfully glamorous after this with looking different from one side to the other. And let's just soften this one in a little bit more. Put a bit more on and just blend it out a little bit so that it's really overlapping a bit of both of the colours. Now, if you find that by doing that you've suddenly lost all your highlight, you can always come in and just add a little bit more of your lighter colour in there so you've still got your highlighted area. Okay, just open up first, Gina. Wonderful. Okay, our next stage is our eyeliner. Now, I usually don't do a top eyeliner, particularly on younger children, because I find their eyes are usually quite small. And if you do put a top eyeliner, you lose that highlighted effect on the eyelids. And it's also just, it can be a little bit uncomfortable putting it on the top lid for them, so it just avoids that. As the girls get older, they'll be wearing false eyelashes, so that gives them that top line anyway. As I said, we have a black eyeliner for girls and a brown for boys. With the boys, now the best way to apply the eyeliner is to support the eye underneath and get the child to look up towards the ceiling, but make sure they don't look up with their whole head. So you want their head looking straight ahead and just the eyes looking up. And you can even actually get them to look across, up and across that way, so that they're actually not looking anywhere near where the pencil is. Now, if your child is quite young and starting off makeup for the first time, that might be all the eyeliner you can get on them. And that's okay. Or you might only get a couple of bits of pencil. That's okay. We don't want the child getting stressed over having their makeup done. As they get a bit more used to it, you'll find you'll be able to get the eyeliner, and they'll start being able to do it themselves as they get older and be able to do it across the whole way. What we would like is for it to cover the whole length where the eyelashes are. Just blink, that's it. But if you can only do a little bit, that is fine. We would prefer the child to have less makeup on and be happy. Okay, open this eye and look up so we can look across that way and pop this eyeliner in. So it's always underneath the bottom eyelashes, never on top. Okay, now look up and across that way and we can get the inner part. And it's always good to also sneak up from the side. Don't come at the child like this because it just does freak them out just a little bit. So yeah, come in subtly so that it's made more gentle for them. Now the other thing with the girls is we can actually extend the eyeliner out a little bit. Just look up a bit for me, Gina, that's it. And we can also add a little wing to it. Now this bottom line doesn't need to be very long. It just extends the eye slightly. And our wing is about, see where that brown eyeshadow is finishing? That's where our extra little wing of eyeshadow. So it's heading towards the top eyelid. And that, by having those two lines like that, and on Gina's they've spaced out. She's got, because she's older, she's got a bigger eye shape. So we've got quite a gap there. On smaller children with smaller eyes, you won't get so much of a gap, but just try not to actually join the lines, because by having them apart, that makes the eye look bigger. Now, if your child has very fair eyebrows, often when we're doing like the end of year concert, I'll actually come around the dressing rooms and actually add a little bit of brow pencil if we think they need it. I don't put an extra brown pencil in the girls' kits because that would just be extra cost to you. But often we'll just put just that little bit of colour in their eyebrows. And I'm doing this with a black on Gina because it happens to be what I've got in my hand. But normally we do it in a brown, and that's why I come around and do it for you. But you can do it if you're doing this for comps or something and there's not makeup crew going to be there to help out. You can certainly do it with the pencil, but just be really subtle. If your child is very fair, then you may find it's good to invest in a brown eyebrow pencil. But I'll leave that up to you guys because not every child needs it. Okay, that's basically our eyes. We just need to pop on some mascara. And I won't actually do this on Gina because I'm just grabbed our mascara out of our kit, but which is of course still all sealed. So you just take out the mascara wand and you actually get them to look down, but not close their eyes. And that way you can come in and just touch the one. And you can see I'm slightly stretching the skin there and just supporting and touching here to steady my hand. so that it's nice and easy with putting on the mascara, and it's not feeling, again, you're not coming at them like this, and if you come directly at the eyes, you're going to worry them and they're going to pull back. So if you've got them looking down, they're not focusing so much on the mascara wand, and you can get the mascara on a lot easier. Okay, so we've got our eyes done, we've got our cheeks done, we've just got to do lips now. So for boys, normally children have a fair bit of colour in their lips, and if you don't put the foundation over their lips, boys are probably right with the natural colour they've got. If they are a little bit pale, you could always just get a bit of the blusher colour and just give that. You don't want any solid lip lines for boys, you just want it really subtle. But for girls, we actually want them to look like, for dance, we want them to look like they're wearing lipstick. So this is where our wonderfully bright Crimson Joy comes in. Now I'm going to put it on with a brush. You can do it directly from the lipstick, or you can do it with a brush or a cotton bud, whatever you find easiest. It is very bright and very shiny, so we usually recommend that you actually do one coat and tissue it off a bit, and then you can just add a very light second coat. We do find that if we blot it off with a tissue, it's less likely then to get on costumes as they're getting changed, or if they're, often you're getting them ready quite early before they actually go on stage. So by blotting the lipstick, they can then have a drink and have something, a snack, and they're not going to mess their makeup, mess their lipstick everywhere. And then they can have just it touched up a little bit by their, Tori, what do we call the
ASCs.
ASCs. They can have the lipstick touched up by the ASCs before they go on stage. So yes, when you're doing it at home, just do one coat and just blot it with a tissue. So usually for the body of the lipstick, they can have their mouth open a bit. Let me just hold this in my hand so I can keep grabbing a bit more as I need it. You can see it's very bright, but it does look really effective on stage. Now, Jenny, just close your lips, but keep them nice and relaxed. So now with the lips closed, I can actually get a bit more of a lip shape happening. So with the lip shape, it should be a nice curve all the way around. The lowest point is the center bottom of the lip, and the highest point is the center of the top lip. But we make sure that it's just a nice curve. And sometimes it's actually quite ticklish putting it on the child. So sometimes you've actually got to put a little bit of pressure with the brush just so that it doesn't tickle too much. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very bright and very juicy lipstick. So that's where we just grab a tissue and just get Gina to bite down on that. And you can also just come in with the other side of the tissue and just make sure you've got the top lip there. Okay, so you can see that's taken a lot of that gloss out of it, and that way she can now eat and drink and everything's fine. And then we can just do, a touch up is just something like just adding that extra, just a little bit of shine before they go on stage. And she's done, she's gorgeous. So that's all you need to do. It's actually not that hard, but that's for me who does a lot of makeup. I don't find it that hard to do, but please don't stress over it. You can slow this video down and watch it over and over again. You've got your instruction sheet in the kit, and you can always come and chat to us if you are having a little bit of difficulty, but hopefully this is going to help make the application much easier. Thank you very much for watching.